Hello and welcome. If you're here watching this video, this is actually the first video on my channel, with hopefully many more to come. If you enjoy this kind of content and want to see more of it, please, if you wouldn't mind helping out by liking and subscribing, this way I can get a head start on the algorithm and be able to provide more content as time comes on. So, if you're here, like me, you're probably wondering, what do I do with my Christmas tree? Today's date is December 31st, so it's New Year's Eve. And I have a tree sitting in my living room wondering, well, do I keep it? Do I let it just basically have all the pine needles fall off in the middle of my living room? When do I dispose of it? How do I dispose of it? So I actually have two great tips to help you get a head start on what to do with that tree instead of tossing it in the trash. Now, I want to mention one thing before we kind of dive into those tips. Well, actually, a couple things. First and foremost, in order to do any of these tips or tricks, the tree will need to be untreated. So it can't be flocked, it can't have any kind of fire-resistant material sprayed onto it, any kind of scent material to make it smell better. Yes, they actually do that sometimes to make the tree smell. So you cannot have that on the tree, otherwise it'll affect either one of these tips in a negative way. Number two, you will need to make sure that you process the tree ahead of time. This will require a saw, and you're going to also need probably a hand shears to get started. So what you'll do to process the tree is you'll take all of the outer branches off of it. So you'll make sure to strip everything off the trunk and hold on to those branches, don't toss them out. That's going to be step one. Step two, you will then break down the trunk into about a foot long different logs. This way you have a uniform size to work with going forward, and you're able to use those when you need to do either one of these tips or tricks. So with that out of the way, let's dive into what the first tip is, which is going to be something related to hugelkultur. I probably butchered that. I'm going to apologize in advance right there for that one. But, basically it's a mini version of using that same concept. Now, what you'll use this tree for would be great for starting a new raised bed or in-ground bed. Like I have one, you might be able to see it in the shot right behind me there, a little bit to the right. And so I got a new raised bed for Christmas. And a lot of times the problem you run into is the soil. So in order to fill these beds, oftentimes the soil is very expensive. It could be easily upwards of $100 or more to go ahead and fill a bed like that. So in order to help reduce that cost and to provide a little more benefit, we could actually use the tree in this case. So taking those processed logs and branches that are smaller, you would place them in a bottom layer on your raised bed. Important to note, it needs to be the bottom layer. Do not have it coming up into the, for example, if your bed's a foot deep, you don't want it on the top layer. You want it really 8 inches or below on the bottom to make sure that it's not going to affect anything up above. So this has a couple benefits tied to it. Number one, once the wood begins breaking down, this takes a while, I want to point that out, it will start feeding nutrients like nitrogen back into the soil. Number two, it also helps hold moisture in your soil. So it's a great way to retain that. It also will feed all the extra little miniature life that lives in your soil to kind of make sure that you're keeping a healthy ecosystem within it. Now, one thing to mention too is going to be nitrogen tie-up. Now, this is a real thing. So what nitrogen tie-up is, especially if you use fresh wood like this, in the beginning what happens, instead of providing nitrogen, it'll actually suck it all into this wood. So you have to be prepared for that. An easy way to sidestep that is going to be using things like compost. If you have leaf litter laying around, which is what I have and I'm going to use, you would put that as a layer above the wood to make sure that you're providing that nitrogen and other materials into your soil and it's not getting sucked up by the wood. So in the short term, this is what you would do to offset the nitrogen tie-up to be able to go ahead and take care of your soil. By doing this, you can easily reduce the amount of soil you're going to need, probably 20-30%, if not more. Again, you want to make sure that you're keeping that wood nice and on the bottom layer. You don't want it going all the way up into the top. You shouldn't be able to put your hand down and get poked by wood. That's not the point of this, of course. But by doing this, you're taking a more natural approach to feed your soil, and you're providing those nutrients in time, which will take probably upwards of a year to begin breaking down. But again, that moisture reduction will also be key. If you're using things like leaf litter alongside this, your soil will have great structure and moisture reduction, or I'm sorry, not moisture reduction, but the ability to hold moisture in your soil. So you're able to go ahead and use that. So that's for tip number one. Tip number two is actually building a bug hotel with your Christmas tree that's been processed. Now you're probably wondering, why would I ever want to do that? Why would I want to attract bugs? A lot of the bugs we get in the garden end up being a nightmare. They eat our roses, or they mess up all our different plants that we have. Well, the bugs we're looking to attract are actually predators and solitary pollinators. So things like spiders are going to be a great predator, or ground beetles that take care of aphids and things like that, things that will be attacking your plants during the season typically. And then solitary bees, which are great pollinators, will live in something like that. Now, I don't have anything to demonstrate when it comes to that, like the raised bed, because I used the entire tree actually to fill that up. But it's a very simple process, and there's plenty of blogs and things online that explain how to do it. But to keep it real simple, you would take your processed wood and basically create a mini wood pile. Important to mention, you do not want this against a building like your greenhouse, your home, a garden shed. You don't want that for multiple reasons because that'll attract the bugs to that location, which then could in turn spread into the building. So we don't want to do that. So find a nice quiet corner of your garden that you will leave undisturbed. The plan is to not touch this thing, not move it, not change it, not add things. You're going to leave it alone completely. You'll make a nice, neat little wood pile, and you'll add things like sticks in between that, making sure it's not completely tightly packed. And if you have the boughs and things that are still good on the tree, just lay that right on top as a nice little roof off in the corner somewhere. Easy way to introduce predators and beneficial bugs to your garden to help reduce those pests. Now, of course, going to reiterate the part I mentioned in the beginning. Make sure that your tree is not covered in chemicals or flocked or anything like that. You do not want to use wood like that. That'll just, of course, remove the beneficial bugs and cause problems rather than actually helping your garden. So that's two easy ways to use your tree. I hope this helps. And again, if you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe. And I look forward to making more videos for you all. And have a happy new year. Take it easy.